Welcome to the Naturalistic Nurse Podcast with Audrey Christie, helping you shift from Band-Aid fixes to root cause resolutions that stick.
Hey friends, thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking about a detox plan, and I want you to hang with me to the end because I have some really poignant things to say about what we can detox right now, even if we step outside of the realm of wellness and nutrition and all of those things. I mean, really, I guess it's still in the realm of wellness, right? But we're going to talk about, the detoxing ins and outs, of course. But then I want to leave you with something that I hope really inspires you. So let's dive in, right? So when we're thinking of a detox plan, what can you detox right now? Detoxing has been practiced for centuries around the world. Native Americans practiced it. Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine systems practiced it. They practiced it through crisis and through troublesome times and with far less technology and access than we have now, right? So when we talk about detoxification or detoxifying, we're talking about resting, cleansing, nourishing the body from the roots up and the inside out. And if you think about what we have time to do right now, it's just that, right? Rest, cleanse, nourish. So when we're thinking about it in terms of our human suit, one of the ways we can do this is by removing and eliminating the toxins going in and speed the flushing and eliminations of toxins already in the body. Same for our habits, our mind, and our energies. Detoxing helps to protect you from disease and renew your ability to have and maintain optimum health, optimum wellness, optimum energy through a wide range of methods. Now, my personal preference and general recommendation for most of my clients is a routine, gentle detox, right? So a nourishing detox, one that is cautious or at least cautious to avoid or at least minimize something called a healing crisis. So when we're thinking of detoxing, we're thinking of removing and eliminating the toxins going in your body and speeding the elimination of the toxins already in the body. Detoxing helps to protect you from disease and renew your body's ability to maintain health, right? So like I said, you can detoxify your body, your mind, your emotions, your energies, and we're going to cover all of that. Now, sometimes you might hear of detoxing as a way to treat environmental exposures, right? So if you're detoxing from heavy metals, for example, you might have also heard of it as, detoxing for digestive tract disorders, for autoimmune diseases, and even as preventative medicine or wellness maintenance. So when you think of detoxing the physical body, what we're talking about here, we're referring to the liver and the digestive tract or the gut. Now, the liver, of course, stores a lot of emotions and energy. So there's also an energetic layer to detoxing that as well. So when you think of detoxing the emotion and the minds, usually we're referring to the digestive tract, working on some thought patterns and beliefs or points of view that you might have inherited along the way. And in this day and age of, being inundated with everybody's thought patterns and beliefs and points of view, including mine, right? You've probably inherited a few along the way. Now, when you think of detoxing energy, you can generally expect that you'd be working with breathing and meditation, crystal healing, and other energetic therapies like energy medicine that you can either have done to you or do for yourself. And so a lot of times when we're thinking of like actionable steps to doing this, it would be resting the organs, right? Sometimes that's via fasting, via nourishing diet, via juice cleanses or smoothies or micronutrients and supplements. Working to stimulate the liver to release toxins better and faster. There's also often an energetic or emotional component to that, as I mentioned. And then encouraging the elimination of toxins through the kidneys, the digestive system, or the skin, which are our natural pathways of detoxification. And then improving circulation, and we do that through movement and different energetic techniques. And then replacing and refueling the body with the most nourishing micro and macronutrients. So how do you know when it's a good time to do this, right? And I get it. You're probably like, Audrey, like now is not the time. But hear me out. Now is the time to detox some things and maybe even nutrition if that's available to you right now. And we're going to talk about how to do that. So how do you know? Generally, I recommend doing a detox every quarter or so. And if you have pretty good energetic and wellness hygiene, that might be all of you need. And so when I say pretty good wellness hygiene, so if you're eating nourishing foods about 80% of the time, if you're moving your body, meditating, generally maintaining things, then likely you'll only need 4 cleanses a year or 4 detoxes a year. I also recommend that you start planning a detox or a new detox plan when you notice that something isn't quite right. Maybe your immune system is down. Maybe you've been a little moodier than usual. Some other signs that you might need a detox include digestive troubles. So nobody likes to talk about poo, but if you're not having, 1 to 3, closer to 3 is better, nice formed stools a day, then that's probably a sign of digestive troubles, right? If you have irritated or inflamed skin, so that could be acne or psoriasis or eczema or any sort of skin inflammation. If you're suffering from seasonal allergies, which I know right now with the energy of spring coming, that's a big problem for a lot of people. If you have a poor immune system, right? So if you fall in the category of immune compromised, or if you don't technically fall in that category, but you and your family catch all the things when they come around, then that's a good sign. You might need a detox. If you have bags under your eyes, if you have trouble with bloating, if your menstrual cycles are irregular, if you have mental fogginess or moodiness or fatigue or swelling, those are all reasons to start looking towards a detox plan. There are lots of other possibilities that include lifestyle choices, right? So if you're traveling or dining out a lot or drinking too much, like I said, getting sick frequently, taking lots of medications or supplements, oftentimes that is a good sign that you need a detox, right? And there can also be some signs that you can find in clinical data, like your lab works and your vital signs, that a detox might be necessary. I'm thinking primarily of cholesterol off the top of my head, but there's lots of other things that could be. So, I like to get into the science. So let's get into the science a little bit here about how the body detoxes, right? I'm not gonna get too far into the science. I'm gonna try to make it slightly less science-y, but I want you to have the details that you need. So over long periods of time, months, years, small daily doses of multiple contaminants kind of have this cumulative effect, right? They add up in the body. And when that starts to add up in our body, in the same way that a vein can get clogged with fats and particles and things, our body starts to have trouble getting rid of the toxins because the pathways, the detoxification pathways that our body uses, start to slow down, right? The toxins start to impair our natural detoxification pathways. So I like to use a bucket analogy to explain this a little bit better. So think of your body, right, as a bucket. And over time, your bucket gets filled with little things like a toxin here, a contaminant there, and we'll talk more on where those come from in just a moment. But so, you get these little toxins and contaminants in your body over a period of time, days, weeks, months, years. Now, your liver and your kidneys and the rest of your body tries to keep up as much as possible with what is being put in this bucket every day. So your liver, kidney, the rest of your body, they're trying to get all these toxins mopped up and excreted the right way every single day. But eventually, that bucket gets more and more full. Sometimes that's referred to as our body burden, and it becomes too much. Our liver and kidneys and other detox pathways can't keep up. And what ends up happening is that bucket overflows and the toxins spill out of our bucket, and they overwhelm the rest of our human suit. And that's where we see disease processes that have to do with inflammation and toxins start to show outward symptoms, right? So where the heck are we getting all these toxins? Well, everywhere is probably the best answer for that. That's really the most accurate one. They come from our food and our air and our water. They're really not possible to avoid in this day and age, although interestingly, right now with fewer cars on the road, fewer planes in the air, all of those things, we're, in a weird time, be it whether it lasts for weeks or months, that the air is technically cleaner than it's ever been before, right? But toxins come from everywhere, right? They come from our food, the air, the water. Toxins that come from outside the body, those are called exogenous because they come from outside the body, and those can be naturally occurring or synthetic. So a few examples could be like heavy metals, UV radiation, smog, right, which is that clean air, oxidation or free radicals. Now you might think naturally if you're going on a hike, you're in the trees, they're pumping up all that good oxygen and they're filtering the air, which they do, but there's also animal and plant mycotoxins, right? Molds and funguses. And then you have pesticides and herbicides and industrial chemicals and food toxins and drugs and inhalants and EMFs from your Wi-Fi and your cell phone, right? Skin products, cleansing products, plastics. I mean, it really goes on and on and on. Now, exogenous or toxins from outside our body aren't the only culprit. We also have toxins that come from inside our body. Those are called endogenous toxins, and they're things like waste products from normal metabolic activities like breathing, right? Carbon dioxide, urea, lactic acid, and of course, GI tract byproducts. Less important than where the toxin originated is whether or not they are water soluble or fat soluble. So water soluble toxins are much easier for bodies to flush out, most bodies anyways, through the skin, through things like sweat, and the kidneys through urine, right? On the flip side of that, those fat soluble toxins are much more of a challenge for our human suits. Fat soluble toxins include things like heavy metals and pesticides and preservatives, food additives, pollutants, plastics, and lots of other environmental chemicals. They actually have to become water soluble for the body to be able to fully eliminate them. And so usually this happens in a two-phase process in our liver. But if our detox pathways and our digestive system isn't functioning the way it should, and remember there are clues to that, like if you're going poo every day, that's not the only clue, but that is one clue, then these toxins get stored up in the liver and the fat cells. They can get stored up in your joints and your muscle, your bone marrows, different tissue in your body and your brain. They can be stored for years. And that's where you start to see things like chronic disease issues start to creep up. And at this point, you're probably like, Audrey, I get it. So how do I fix it? And here's the thing. There's lots of different ways, and a lot of them are only appropriate for certain people with certain issues. But by and large, depending on where you are and what you can do and what you want to stick to, you can find a method that'll work best for your goals and be safe, which is one of my big sticking points, right? It has to be safe. So often a combination of methods given in a particular order, it will be the key for your wellness for any individual. The very first step in any detox is to lighten your toxic load, right? Get rid of alcohol, get rid of coffee. God forbid you're smoking cigarettes or using tobacco, get rid of that. Then start looking towards refined sugar and rancid fats because these are all obstacles to the healing process, to the detoxing process. If you need help giving up any one of those things with the no withdrawal method, you can let me know, and I've got options for you. You can check that out on the show notes page at audreychristie.com/109. But from there, you have lots of options, and it really depends on where you started. There are fasting cleanses and juice cleanses, but here's the thing. If you're not careful, you can end up in a world of trouble. Or on the lighter side, you might feel good for a period of time, but then under the surface, you're really stirring up some trouble, and you'll hit that trouble even worse with big symptoms down the road. A lot of these, abrupt juice or fasting style cleanses, they actually cause toxins to dive deeper in your system. So for a period of time, you feel a little bit better, and then sort of that, brick wall slams down and you have a whole lot of health issues going on. So I encourage you not to jump into one of those. Now, if you started out with caffeine and alcohol and processed foods and all sorts of not goodness, then of course you don't need to jump into a big juice or a fasting only for days type detox. Also, an important note about detoxes that are centered around taking handfuls of supplements and shakes and powders for 2 or maybe 3 meals a day, those aren't detoxes. Okay, so if you're getting your protein from a hyper processed powder, that is not detoxing. That is toxing your system. Okay, that's the opposite of detoxing. It's toxing your system with heavily processed stuff. Best to save your money there and avoid that entirely. My clinical recommendation is for everyone, darn near everyone, to start with a gentle, nourishing detox. And what makes a detox nourishing and detoxifying at the same time is using strategic strategically created recipes made from whole foods rather than pills and powders. Now, I recommend, again, doing this about 4 times a year. I'm a big proponent of tuning into the cycles of nature. So I take my clinical knowledge and my healer knowledge, if you will, and align detoxes with the timing of the season. So in my neck of the woods right now, we're coming around to spring, or we're in spring. Oh, and if you're on my list, I'll be sending out some free detox recipe samples in your email next week. If you're not on my list, you can fix that at audreychristie.com/109, which is the show notes for this episode. And this is actually a good place to take a quick intermission and talk to you about how, if you feel like a detox is right for you and you want to go deeper with a super supportive, super gentle, and very effective detox program, I do have one that I offer seasonally. It's especially beneficial if you're suffering from those symptoms that we talked about. So those digestive troubles, irritated, inflamed skin, allergies, poor immune system, bags under the eyes, bloating, irregular menstrual cycles, mental fogginess, moodiness, fatigue, or swelling. And so you might obviously understand, if you're listening, that I'm uniquely qualified to talk about how to make a detox nourishing for lots of reasons, but also because I've had many, many clients who have never tried a detox program or have tried other detox programs and either weren't successful or ended up sicker, if you will, for lack of a better term, successfully complete my detox program and feel amazing after. I have to tell you, it's so fun. I do these 4 times a year, and I always do them with the group because this is something I do myself. Our whole family does it. These recipes are kid tested and approved and husband tested and approved, so you don't have to cook an extra meal. But I remember what it was like when I did my very first detox, and I was worried I wouldn't be able to stick to it, and I was wondering what on the earth I would eat. And then I figured, okay, there's no way I'm doing this. I'm so going to cheat. That was many, many moons ago. So I would love to invite you to join me for my spring 5-day nourishing detox for beginners. It's a virtual group detox starting on April 20th. We moved it back to give people more time to find what they need and for substitutions and all that kind of stuff, because we're working in kind of a new place, right? A new paradigm. And I do have a couple of different options. You can find out more about all of it at audreychristie.com/spring detox. But I went back and forth. This was supposed to launch a couple weeks ago, just like it does every spring. And I wanted to figure out a way to make it accessible. And so here's what I've done to make it accessible. I have the regular early bird price, right? $77. It saves you about 30%, a little over 30%. And you can take the detox. It's new and improved with new bonuses this year. So if you've done it before, then you're going to see a lot of new things this time. But I also understand that there's a big economic impact, as well as a big getting the right supplies impact for what's going on right now. And so I have a couple of different options. I have a completely free 3-day reset that you can get instead. And that is on the show notes page as well. And then I've also added, so it's on the honor system, but if you can do the regular early bird pricing, $77, that closes on April 10th. But if you are in any kind of financial hardship or anything like that, then there is also an option for you to pay what you can. So you'll see 2 buttons on that information page. One is the regular early bird registration. The other is a pay what you can. It will take you to a checkout page where you can enter whatever rate that you can pay and pay it. So that was my best option as a small business, to keep my small business open, right? And still be cautious and thoughtful of what's going on in the world. So this detox is different because it focuses completely on whole, real food, balanced for all 3 phases of your body's detox system. So you're not forced to make any huge leaps in your diet unless you really want to. And these recipes are yours to keep so you can use them again and again and again. Again, I keep budget in mind always, but especially in this climate. So the supplements in the 5-day detox are completely optional. If you want to add them, you can. I even give you a priorities list if you want to add some, right? because I fully believe that maximizing nutrients can be done with whole foods and without having to trade a handful of medications for a handful of supplements. So there is that really cool priorities list. So you can see if you wanted to do supplements with it, then you could. If you don't want to, absolutely not necessary. There's also tons of support in this 5-day detox. And next week's episode will be all about how detoxing can actually halt your allergies. And I'm going to talk about all the natural ways to get rid of seasonal allergies. I used to suffer from them. I know many of you suffer from them. And just so you know, I don't suffer from seasonal allergies anymore. And another fun note, this detox is Monday through Friday, because when I first started doing detoxes, one of the complaints that I got was that they don't want to or they can't stick to it, over the weekend, right? And I totally get it. So if you happen to be near a device right now, the registration page is audreychristie.com/spring detox, but the information is also available on the show notes page at audreychristie.com/109. So there's tons of information. I'll just share real quick a couple of the most important pieces. All experiences are different, but you can expect to learn a lot about your eating habits. You will feel a lot better, look better, sleep better, and a lot of people lose weight as a positive side effect of this detox program. Dozens of recipes that are specially crafted, like I said, to support your body's natural detox processes. We'll have 2 live training calls taught by me, everything you need to know about the detox and how to transition out of the detox. A daily protocol with step-by-step instructions on exactly what to do and when to do it. You'll get a 20-minute strategy session with me to determine your next steps once you're done with the detox. And it might be to do a next level juice or fasting cleanse. It might be to do something else to support your immune system. And then bonuses, you'll get a shopping list template that makes the grocery store super easy, even in these times. A supplement guide, like I said, that cool list with priorities if you want to use them and where you can get them. You'll get the Deepen Your Detox handbook so you can boost your detox experience. I'm also including, this is totally new this spring, the energetic detox class, right? And then a new thing this spring is a specific juice and smoothie recipe for specific ailments based on Ayurveda and Chinese medicine and just good nutritional practices. So you'll have this as a resource for when things like your skin breaks out. Then you'll know what produce to grab and how to make a quick juice for this. Now, like I said, given this uncertain climate, I've given you options here. You have the completely free 3-day reset, totally free. And that's just a quick ebook with a guide, 3-day reset, easy peasy. The other option is the early bird price, $77, just like it is every year. The regular price is $97. And then you also, honor system, and no judgment, if you've been squashed by this current economic crisis, then you can pay what you want. You can pay $1, you can pay $77, you can pay more than $77 if you want, but you can pay any amount via PayPal and still be included in this program for you and your family. And then as a special bonus, I've got a Make It Last post-detox handbook just for you so that you can maximize that post-detox glow as long as possible. And all of these bonuses are available if you register by April 10th. Don't forget April 10th. Now, here's what I really wanted to share with you, because detoxing, right? I mentioned it can be physical, emotional, all of those things. I read something called The Coronation by Charles Einstein, and he writes essays, right? And so I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was so profound. COVID-19, and this is a quote from Charles Einstein, COVID-19 is showing us that when humanity is united in a common cause, phenomenally rapid change is possible. It's also like a rehab intervention that breaks the addictive hold of normality. And this is why it kind of tied into detox for me. He says, to interrupt a habit is to make it visible. It is to turn it from a compulsion to a choice. When the crisis subsides, we might have occasion to ask whether we want to return to the normal or whether there might be something we've done or seen during this break in routines that we want to bring into the future. We might ask, after so many have lost their jobs, whether all of them are jobs the world most needs, whether our labor and creativity would be better applied elsewhere, we might ask, having done without for a while, whether we really needed so much air travel or Disney World or vacations or trade shows. What parts of the economy will we want to restore, and what parts might we let go of? So I want you to think about that in terms of what you're doing right now, what you have available to you, and how your routine is changed. Detoxing, yes, you can do it with nutrition, but you can also do it with your life, right? So, what habits are you developing now that you want to keep? What choices were you making before that you see now that you can let go of, right? All of these things are so important to consider in this time. So, to wrap this up, toxins come in all shapes and sizes. They're all around us. So, detoxing is something we need to do for ourselves a few times a year, and sometimes a big detox by force, right, is required. And there's some particular magic when you align detoxing with the seasons. Remember, when you're choosing a method, don't take on something that's too complex just because you think you should or your friends are doing it. Find a program that meets your needs, is safe, is nourishing, non-restrictive, and is on your time frame. Thanks for listening to the Naturalistic Nurse podcast. If you'd like to contribute to this podcasting effort of getting the word out about how to shift from band-aid fixes to root cause resolutions that stick, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. I'd be oh so grateful. Be well.